Back to Breaking Dawn this morning, and for another week we have Seth in studio with us. And according to one of the callers yesterday morning, she said, Seth is a good-looking fella, so the good-looking Seth, why was here? All right? Not the ugly one, the good-looking one. All right? So Seth, where's the scene, man? Everything good?
Yeah.
Nice one.
Excellent.
I find the run went off on Sunday.
I really enjoyed it. I didn't participate in the run, right?
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the whole atmosphere. It was bigger and better.
Yeah.
This year, every year it's growing. You know, I've been there from day one of the event, right? And this year, of course, I did give a copy of my book to the first place male and first place female.
Nicholas and Anika,
Yeah. And that there could be the topic for this morning. Because, you know, elite athletes are usually at higher risk for injuries and health issues later on.
Yeah.
Right? Especially more so with osteoarthritis, those sort of issues. And the reason for that is we spend time training athletes for performance. But what we should actually be focusing on is building an athlete and for health. Right?
Okay.
So, you know, a lot of people have the concept that an athlete is a healthy person.
Right.
That's not necessarily true.
They say they're fit.
Right. Now, remember, fitness is a measure of performance, not a measure of health.
Okay.
And this is why I gifted the books to the first place winners, because fitness is a measure of health, but a measure of performance, but true health requires knowledge.
Okay.
It requires knowledge. And that is what the book provides.
Right.
It provides knowledge with regards to proper nutrition, what you're supposed to, not supposed to eat, and why, how the body is designed. Get people to understand the biological makeup of the body and how nutrition fits into that with regards to disease prevention and reversal. All right? And that's the area that athletes have the knowledge gap. But not just athletes, of course, the general population as well. Now, if we can breach that gap in knowledge with regards to athletes, you are going to get better performance, all right?
Right.
Because athletes retire, and it have a general age based on the type of sport that they are in.
Yeah.
Right?
Usually, well, I mean, now, it used to be your mid-30s. Now, we see it in sports where athletes used to retire either early to mid-30s, like football, for instance.
Yeah.
Now we see in Cristiano Ronaldo is playing till 40.
Yeah.
I think Mo Salah will play till almost 40 as well because of his fitness, right? But I mean, all athletes go through basically the same training regime,
right?
Depending on the sport that you're in, right?
Depending on the sport, so it have the sport-specific training.
Right, training. Specific to certain sports, right? But what extends that?
Right.
Is it the training, or is it the nutritional aspect, or is it a combination of both that extends the athlete's
It's a combination of both, because something I notice is, let's take swimming in Trinidad.
Right.
I have observed swim schools teaching, because the issue is not the athlete, it's just the system. Because when you grow up within a particular system, you just usually continue along those lines. So you might see athletes, they are training in the water, the swimmers, training in the water, practicing the strokes and whatnot. And then you might then see them do some sort of physical training on land. But the physical training on land is not efficient enough, right?
Right.
Because training has to cover power, right?
Speed,
strength, stability,
right,
and resilience, right? So these are things that those things have to cover. And many athletes are of the impression that when they train on land, dry land training, right, they have to do stuff that mimic what they're going to do in the water, or whatever sport they're in, whatever they're going to do in that sport.
Okay.
And it shouldn't.
Okay.
You need to generally train the body, right? If you're training for that particular sport, train for that particular sport. But when you're doing your land-based training, you want to train what is mechanically correct for the body.
Okay,
so
that
you
makes
would
sense.
build stability and all of that. Now, here's the other aspect now. To build strength, power, stability, nutrition still must take the forefront.
Yeah.
So we have the gap in the training methodology, and we also have the gap in the nutritional aspect
of
as
things.
well. And like I said, this is where we have to focus on not using nutrition as a means just to improve performance. Because you could have nutrition to improve performance and to improve aesthetics in the short term, but then that could cause long-term problems.
Okay,
right?
All right. But I've always said, right, when you look at, now I'm glad you bring up the aspect of nutrition with athletes. I have always found that Trinidad and Tobago athletes seem to be smaller than other athletes across the globe. So in other words, and I always used to say, but wait as we eating, or we not eating, that the Jamaicans eating, that the US athlete, because when you see a 19 or a 20-year-old American athlete, and you put them to stand next to a Trinidad and Tobago 19 or 20-year-old athlete, their development, I'm talking about their muscular development, all of that, is leaps and bounds ahead of what we just see from Trinidad athletes, Trinbago athletes, right? So I just always say, well, you can't tell me that fellas going in the gym and they can't pump up themselves and look like that, right? They develop that whole physique and everything. You can't tell me that unless the weights are all lifting the front, unless that's some kind of scientific weights that these fellas lifting abroad and because they do it, you can't tell me that your muscle development and thing is so far behind that of an American or a Jamaican or whatever, right? We're just talking about athletics and running. Right? So you can't tell me it's that. So it had to be something else. It had to be something else that they're doing that we're not doing.
Well, there's a saying that the best coach is a good chemist.
The best coach is a good chemist. Okay.
Because the aspect that people don't factor in, it have a lot of pharmaceutical drug use in the sporting industry. Right?
Okay.
And that is something people don't factor in. And there are many legal pharmaceutical drugs that are utilized, and some only after years of it being utilized, then they might find, well, this would now be classed as doping, so they will come and ban it.
Right.
You would have even seen some world-renowned athletes when they expand the list of drugs that are banned and discontinued, that their times and stuff and thing reduce, right, when those things happen. So there's that aspect. But that's not the aspect that I'm looking at, because I'm more focused on long-term health.
Right.
Because after your career, you still want to have a good, proper function in life.
Yeah.
Right? But if you are not properly educated on nutrition, right, that life can become a very uncomfortable one. Right? It can become a very uncomfortable one. A life full of pain and discomfort, and then medical procedures and interventions. You always have to go for some injection here and there, because during one's athletic career, because if you notice a lot of athletes, you have the on season and then they have the off season. And the off season, they look very different than the on season. Which shows a knowledge gap. It shows a knowledge gap. Why is it in the off season they look like this? And it's not because athletes are just bad. Remember, this is a cultured something. So you're thinking, in my off season, I could eat this, that, and the other. And that's fine. All right? And some might say, well, this is within the nutritional scope that I could eat. Right? But if it was healthy, why does it cause them to go out of form? Right? Because it isn't.
And they have to work their way back.
And then when season start back, then you have to work.
You're working your way back to,
So what happens now when season start back? You're going to things like caloric deficit and all these kind of stuff, which are stressors that you are putting on the body. Right?
Okay.
So imagine now your life, during your athletic career, full of stress, then you have this down period. High stress, down period. High stress, down period. Now, that's not a good way to live. No. But this is how a lot of athletes live, because the knowledge on proper nutrition and health is lacking. There's a big gap in society with regards to that. People think this book is joke. When you read this, right? The amount of information and knowledge that you would get on proper nutrition, it far exceeds any other book out on the market with regards to such, right? You're going to learn things that you are. You are going to learn things that you haven't heard of anywhere else, right? It's packed with so much.
If you want to understand what's really happening inside your body, I break it down in detail in my book, You Are Not Sick, You Are Malnourished. It's available on Amazon and Gumroad, RIK bookstores nationwide, Nelson's bookstore in Tobago, or directly through the clinic.
Right? So we need to fill that knowledge gap because nutrition is I class it as the most important thing in your life.
Well, I think so. It's interesting that in the chapter 7 we have bioavailability. What you eat isn't what you absorb.
Exactly. So that's a big thing. That's a big thing. So most people, the average person, they look at nutrition from a superficial standpoint. And this also brings up, because I've had many people come to me, I go through and I show people the science, I've been through clinical studies, systematic review, meta-analysis, these stuff. And then they might go home and they might do a Google search or do a quick search in AI. And they'll send me a screenshot and say, well, look what it says here. It says different than what you were showing me. And people need to understand that using things like AI, Gemini, all these artificial intelligence mechanisms, search engines, those are tools, right? Those are tools. And what I mean by those are tools, it is not a brain. It is not understanding. It is a tool, and a tool is only as good as the person wielding it, right?
Yes.
So a hammer in the hands of a carpenter could build marvelous structures.
Of course.
Right? But in the hands of a careless person, a hammer is a destructive tool. Right?
You could kill somebody.
You could kill somebody. Same way, a vehicle. A vehicle is a very useful tool. It could transport and deliver goods and all sorts of stuff. But put a vehicle in the hands of a reckless person, and it is now a deadly weapon.
That's right.
All right? So if somebody is superficial in their thinking, and you utilize AI to search something, but you put in a superficial command, you're going to get a well-written superficial answer. Right? If you put in a wrong question, you would get a very polished wrong response.
Well, that's the thing with AI, right? Everybody talking about AI technology, but AI, when you type in some in AI, what it gives you is based on information that already exists. Right? It's not giving you fresh information. So it's giving you information that we, as human beings, have put out there. Based on research and this, that, and the other, right?
Now, the other thing is, your commands to it would dictate how it gives you that information.
How it gives you the information.
So what I say is AI amplifies you.
Okay.
So if you are intelligent, it can amplify your intelligence. If you are ignorant, it would amplify your ignorance, right? If you are confused, it is going to amplify your confusion because you don't know how to wield the tool correctly.
Right.
And that runs people into a lot of issues. So somebody would put in here, I want to get this nutrient, or what have this in it? Like the other day when I deal with folic acid, right?
Yeah.
Somebody might just put in, okay, what has folic acid in it? And they run that in AI, and it'll come up with a lot of stuff. But most of the stuff that it's going to pull up, they're not going to tell you bioavailability is a problem. Right? So those are not the best sources, all right? But people don't know that because they didn't put in the right prompts. So if you don't put in the right prompts to access the real depth of the information. So bioavailability is a problem. A lot of food stuff. For example, you'll hear a lot of people would say things like, people that are anemic would consume, you'll hear them say beetroot, right? Because beetroot is high in iron.
Okay.
But the iron in beetroot also comes in with things like phytic acid. That blocks iron.
Okay.
So how much iron are you getting from beetroot? Barely any, under 5%.
Okay.
Right.
Let me ask you something now. Let me ask you something. You have a few minutes left. A lot of athletes, as you were talking about that, right? Injuries and stuff. I find a lot of athletes in basketball, football, especially. A lot of them getting these ACL tears. Right. Now, the fact that it's called an ACL tear tells me that there's muscle there that is.
Well, it's the anterior cruciate ligament, right?
Right.
So that's a cross ligament in the knee joint.
Okay.
Now remember, those sports have people moving at high speeds and then moving fast, sudden turns.
Right.
So you can put pressure on those
They
on
leap
the
the ground
joints
as well, eh?
and the leaping as well. And remember, ligaments, right, are not designed to stretch.
Right.
Right? So they're not designed to stretch. They're designed to create stability.
Stability.
So then you can rupture. Now, what increases ruptures is the nutritional aspect.
Right.
If you aren't eating correctly
Right.
and your body is nutritionally deficient, the ligaments are not going to be as strong as they should.
Yeah, because I look at Hugo Ekitike, the new Liverpool signing this season, right? And he out with an ACL tear right now. And when you go back and you look at the footage of what caused it, it didn't look like a serious. It didn't look serious.
Right.
It looked like a slight little something that nobody, that not really supposed
Which
to.
means, over the time of him doing what he has been doing, because the nutrition has been lacking, the body hasn't been able to repair from the basic wear and tear.
Okay.
So you're getting, it's like, the saying, the straw that broke the camel back.
Yeah.
So you're getting damage taking place, the body don't have enough nutrients to repair fully, and you're getting more damage, but it's minor, it's very minor. But eventually, minor stuff builds up, is what I call accumulative damage, right? Now, this year is dealing with injury. The body operates the same way with diseases. Diseases are cumulative poisoning.
Right.
So one is accumulative damage that would result in a mechanical defect, and the next one is accumulative poisoning that results in disease. And this is why nutritional therapy is so important. People need to understand nutrition. And it's the area that we have the most.
And the reason why I asked you about the ACL tear, right? Just in a couple of minutes we have here, real quick, is that in this you have protein. Protein is the architecture of life. It builds and repairs muscle, bone, skin, enzymes, neurotransmitters, and antibodies. Every structure, every function, every repair in the body depends on amino acids and the building, and that's the building blocks of protein. Right now, it goes on to talk about animal protein and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
So they will tell you that, now I would say that I eat a lot of protein. Well, at least I think so, right? I think I consume a lot of meat, a lot of animal protein, right? Now, protein is supposed to deal with, one, it strengthens your muscle mass, right? Because I remember somebody telling me that the older you get, the more protein your body would need to keep so that your muscle mass doesn't deteriorate and you become weak, right? So that you fall along and you break a hand and a leg, right? So you need more protein. Protein also is supposed to be the antidote to fat, right? They said protein does deal with fat.
Yeah, protein helps. So it
helps it helps, but that doesn't mean that you consume X amount of protein and expect you're going to lose your belly.
Right.
Or you're going to lose fat.
It have much more.
It don't work like that.
Yeah. So and that's the area of confusion with a lot of people. So again, a lot of people think, okay, this have this amount of protein in it, so if I consume this, I am going to get all of that protein.
Right.
That is not how it works.
It don't work like that.
So let's take these supplement meal replacement drinks.
Yes.
That would have the carbohydrates, the proteins, and the fats in it. Right? If you're consuming something that sends up your insulin level, right, it is going to, as insulin level is high, it is going to deactivate what is known as ketogenesis. which is where your body converts fat into ketones and burn that as fuel. Now, when that is deactivated, your body is going to be reliant on glucose.
Okay.
So the body has to get the glucose from somewhere. So you say, all right, well, I'm consuming the carbs. But when you are not consuming the carbs, let's say in between your meals, right? So you didn't have any carb consumption, any sugar consumption, so you're not getting any glucose. Insulin levels remain high. It can take 2 to 7 days to get your insulin levels back into a sensitive state where your body would now burn the fat for fuel.
Okay.
So within that time span, where your body going and get the glucose from? Your body is going to convert your protein into glucose through a process called gluconeogenesis.
Okay.
Right? So people are consuming protein thinking, my body is using, this is all is going to go to repair and rebuilding and strengthening the body. No, it all depends on what metabolic state your body is in. Right? And this is why nutrition is so important.
Right.
Then there are also things that people consume with their protein sources that contain protease inhibitors. Now that blocks trypsin and chymotrypsin, which are the enzymes needed to take the amino acids, break down the amino acids, and then send them into your bloodstream so it can go and distribute and build stuff. But if you don't know that, you're eating something now that's blocking protein from working. Right?
Okay.
Blocking your body from absorbing it.
All right.
So like I say, while nutrition, most people have a very, very basic understanding, superficial level of nutrition, and in the healthcare system as well. It's very basic, very basic. Because most doctors, I remember I did a segment where a doctor at Stanford, who teaches nutrition to the students, said you only get 80 minutes in the 4 years.
Wow.
Right? To educate doctors on nutrition. They don't have that depth of knowledge with regards to nutrition. So people are trusting blindly, and then they will go and do these simple, superficial, basic AI searches and get wrong information, right? So then now somebody like myself, now normally, you might hear me say, hey, if I tell somebody you just need to eat this and that, it's going to sound so basic, right? They're going to say, now you're talking nonsense. But how I just explained a little bit just now there, and that is not even a full explanation, with the gluconeogenesis, all right? And I talk about the insulin levels, ketogenesis and stuff like that. That's going to confuse a lot of people, right? And that's why I say, but people need to know that I know the information. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book. So when people read the book, they're going to build some confidence and realize, oh, I could trust this guy. He knows what he's talking about.
You know what he's talking about,
right? Yeah. Because if I have to go and explain everything in detail to everyone, that's going to take some time.
It will take some time.
But for those that are interested in that, they can still book a consultation and come and see me. Right? Because I go into whatever you want to go into and you need information on, I go into that in the consultation.
So I'll tell you what, it's set while aboard, you are not sick, you are malnourished, but outside of that, we just learned, I think, a lot there about athletes and their performance and how the fitness and the training exercises are tied into nutrition, some different types of approaches to nutrition, protein, and a lot of stuff inside of there this morning. But we want to thank Seth for coming through and sharing this knowledge with us. And I would urge you guys to get the book. All right? And it's very easy. It's 7611952, 7611952, or 2793935, right?
Yeah, correct.
Or 2793935. Those are the numbers you can get him on. Get the book, take a read, go in, get a consultation done, and re-educate yourself on health. And I think we were doing some of that there a little while ago in terms, because you mentioned some of the glucose and the protein. And so there was something in that, because I would say, let me tell you, I would say that I eat a lot of protein. But I would say, but eating protein doing nothing for me. But it may be because I'm eating something else with it.
That could be blocking it, and then your metabolic system is in the wrong system.
But for everybody, that something would be different.
Well, it depends on what they're consuming. So this is why I go into and get people to understand how to get the correct metabolic system activated and what they should and shouldn't be consuming.
Okay, brilliant. So people, we're going to be back to wrap things up this morning. Don't go anywhere. Breaking On continues after this.
If you want to understand what's really happening inside your body, I break it down in detail in my book. You are not sick, you are malnourished. It's available on Amazon and Gumroad, RIK bookstores nationwide, Nelson's bookstore in Tobago, or directly through the clinic.